Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar video. In this one I'm going to be sort of opening up, giving some brief reviews, thoughts on a few kind of new Avatar and Korra items I've added to my collection recently. So I suppose to a degree the highlight is these Cheebee figures here. I got Katara and Sokka. Just because I haven't covered them in hand before. Obviously covered them when they got announced and stuff like that, but it's my first time actually having some of them. And then missing from coverage on my channel, you may have noticed, has been Legend of Korra Funko Pops, the first wave. I only reviewed the exclusive one. What happened to the comments? Well, I finally now actually have Asami, Amon, Korra and Mako. So I'll be also covering them briefly, as well as telling the story of basically why it's taken nearly 2 years to actually get around to reviewing them. So I often get people asking me to do videos that are sort of like an update on my collection and so on. And a lot of times I tend to not really feel like I really need to do it, because it's the same stuff I have in the last collection video, just with all the new comics, books, and then effectively the merchandise that I review on my channel. I don't really get that much stuff that's Avatar related that I don't do a video about. So just be aware of that. Part of that is just because I live in Ireland, I don't have easy access to a lot of Avatar and Korra merch. The books, relatively okay. Some of the action figure lines, yes, but a lot of the sort of extra stuff that you can get at the likes of Hot Topic and stuff like that, since we don't have those shops over here, it makes it very difficult for me to just sort of pick up a bunch of random extra Avatar bits and pieces. In terms of stuff that I haven't actually covered that I do have though, I did get the McFarlane small scale Iroh figure. My local comic book store had this. There's not too much to say about it. The small scale is basically really nicely sculpted, not much articulation, just enough to sort of pose them standing a little bit. Iroh comes with the lightning bolt, which is kind of cool, but I didn't feel the need to do a video on him. And then the only other figure I haven't done a video on is I got Best Action Katara. Again, my local comic book store had her in. Because I relatively recently did the review of the Cosmic Aang, my first best action figure, I didn't feel the need to also do the Katara, because the articulation and so on is roughly the same. The only thing I'd add is that my main complaint about the Aang was QC problems with regards to the arms. I got two identical arms. So you can see here, this arm, the tattoo doesn't line up because they gave me the kind of forearm for the other side again, and it's a different but similar problem, like the QC problem with the Katara. Super loose leg, look at that. There's no strength in this joint whatsoever. So it just about holds in certain standing positions, but is not great. So QC definitely seems to be a little bit of a problem on Best Action. So that's just some brief thoughts there. But like I said, we're here to open up these 6 figures here. So we'll start with the Cheebee figures. I'll go with Sokka first, because I was initially only planning to get the one to test it out, but then I wanted to just add something else onto the order that I placed, so I just got the Katara as well. Just briefly, I suppose, on the packaging, very small. You can see in comparison to a Funko Pop box, just about there. Decent bit smaller, obviously. Typical Funko Pop is what, $15? For me, the place I ordered these from, it was €11. So these were relatively expensive. I know they're available in was it a Five Below in America. I don't know if I've seen anyone post the price, but I don't. Is it literally that it cost $5 in the shop in America? I'm not actually sure. So yeah, that's that. The packaging is quite nice though. It's actually relatively thick. It's kind of nicer kind of cardboard and stuff like that than a Funko Pop box, which is interesting. But just the blue packaging, Avatar The Last Airbender, A+, Loyal Subjects, who do Best Action, is also the manufacturer here. There's Sokka, collectible, list of the other characters on the back, which is interesting as you bring in the Katara here. They do actually just change the lineup here. So rather than just having on the back all 5 of them, they still only have 4, but they lose the one that you already have, which is interesting enough. And then there's not too much else to say about it there. So let's just open this up. So just want one bit of tape on the top, and I believe you get a card inside, but I actually haven't seen many people cover that idea. So let's open this up and see what we get inside. Okay, so there's a card, and then inside is just obviously the kind of backing type thing inside, but it's just part of the packaging. So inside you get the figure in a plastic shell, of course, and you get the card. So nothing too fancy. It doesn't seem like particularly like amazing. It's not just a piece of paper, it is card, but it's not particularly like fancy card or anything like that. Sokka, 15-year-old warrior from Southern Water Tribe with his sister, okay, and unlike his companions, yeah, that's pretty nice. It's actually even covered the book 3 stuff as well with the meteorite sword, even though it's like book 1 Sokka here. But you know, maybe they'll do later waves that have the characters from the later books in their design. But still, with these type of little collectible things, I do like that idea that you can sort of just like, you could do like a kind of shelf display thing out of the box by like having Sokka on the card or something like that. It's nothing too fancy, of course. You can see it's just the figure, but it's still nice enough. Now, these shell things oftentimes can be super difficult to get figures out of here. Okay, not too bad. Not too bad. Because recently I've gotten a bunch of the Sonic Jack Specific figures, the 4-inch scale ones, and they are so tight inside those bubbles. I basically have to cut the plastic apart to get them out. But here we go. You know, very small figure, as you can see here, but nicely detailed overall. And the main thing about it is that it's obviously super accurate to the Cheebee style. It's not just the Funko Pop doing the Funko Pop style, the U2s doing the U2s style. It is proper, you know, accurate to the Cheebee stuff. And yeah, colors are accurate all across, nicely painted for the most part. Even the details on the boomerang, it being done with the 2 colors, one for the like inner part and then one for like the blade. Even the little kind of chevron bits here on the boomerang holder, really nice. And at least on the Sokka here, no paint defects at all. I like this one just because I don't have a lot of Sokka merchandise. I'm pretty sure the McFarlane figure and the Funko Pop are maybe the only Sokka figures I have. So I thought this was definitely one I needed to get in this. And especially because the expression, I think, fits him really perfectly here. So that's nice. And then, does he stand properly? Not quite there. I don't know. Yeah, so that's not great. I don't know if you can maybe see this here. Yeah, it's a little bit forward heavy. I think it's possible. This is maybe not the best situation to try and do it, but I definitely can't really get him to stand up normally. So that's not great, and obviously they don't come with stands or anything. So that's a little bit like frustrating. I get it. It's a kind of bobblehead type thing with the giant head to a degree. It's sort of tricky, but there's no even articulation or anything like that to help with it. And I don't think it's that like it's molded slightly off. Maybe the leg is a little bit forward. Yeah, it's just one of those things where because it's made out of plastic, it might have just kind of slightly got out of like exact alignment. And when it's perfect, you can see he's sort of standing there. Yeah, so you just have to slightly adjust him, and you can roughly get him to stand. So yeah, you can see there. So it's a delicate balance. They probably should have come with little stands like some of the Funkos do, but still, pretty nice, but I'll have to be careful where I put him so he doesn't fall off anywhere. So that's that. And now let's get into Katara. So again, similar stuff here on the back. It's just Katara is not on the back. Pretty nice. In terms of like, now that I'm relatively impressed with the first one, I'm not really interested in like the Aang or the Zuko, because we get so much book one Aang stuff that even though he's my favorite character, I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I'm not sure if I want to spend the money on him. Zuko, I'm just not the biggest fan of the book one design. I'd much prefer any other design of him, pretty much. The Toph, I think I'll pick up the Toph probably once they confirm that they're doing more and they're actually going to do other characters and other designs. But that's sort of where I'm at the moment with these. And that's in general, I'd say, where I'm at with a lot of the action figure lines and figure lines, is that outside of being sort of maybe mold complete on Funko Pops, like I don't really care too much about going crazy with like exclusives and getting stickers and stuff like that. Once I get the molds I like, the actual poses of the figures that I like, I'm pretty good. Whereas where we're at now with Avatar and so on, I'm okay with skipping certain ones in that, like the McFarlane small scale Toph came out with the Iroh, but I don't think that figure looks very good, so I'm not getting it, and I'm fine with that. A lot of the best action stuff I'm not going to get, and so on. So that's just where I'm at, like just really trying not to be super completionist, but also wanting to kind of try everything out a little bit. And so that's why I'm like a lot of the times picking up one or two figures from a line, or maybe just one, or completely skipping another one. And that I think is just at this stage the most effective thing to do. So again, just Katara and then the card. The Katara one is caring, compassion, 14-year-old girl, kindness and empathy, determined to save the world despite her limited abilities. She is a waterbender who longs to become a master waterbender in order to save her tribe. So kind of interesting, the Sokka one actually references end of series stuff, whereas this is still talking about like early Katara. But again, they're just basic descriptions. Still nice that you get a card. And let me try and get Katara out here without damaging those hair loopies. Because obviously I'd probably want to grip the sides of the head, but I probably might damage them. And then I don't want to do too much here in case I damage the water effect part. So I'm not actually sure about the most effective way to get her out, because she's in there quite tight, you can sort of see. And I don't want to just like destroy this thing. So I think I'm just going to pause the video for a second and more or less cut her out of this so I don't damage it. Okay, so got Katara out. Pretty nice overall, definitely. There's a few little things like mold lines up here. You can maybe tell it's a little bit kind of messy. I'm sure like I could like clean it up if I absolutely needed to, but just straight out of the box, for the most part, pretty good. There's super up close. There's maybe some slight little blemishes on the paint just around her mouth, but it's nothing too bad or anything like that. There's little things like the paint on her hand here does go up into the water effect part just a little bit, but in general quite good. And then I like this one. It's very characterful. Katara with the water whip, and again they do the hair loopies are nice. It's a little delicate piece here, similar to the way they did it on the best action figure. So that is quite accurate here. Detailing on her eyes, eyebrows and stuff like that is quite nice. And the chibi version of her quite complicated back of her hairstyle. Again, the blues color is quite nice. The necklace is intact. Really, really solid job. And does it stand? Yes. So Katara stands no real problem. And you can sort of see she's more like kind of balanced and sort of spread out. Whereas Sokka's sort of all in line. Like if Sokka faces you like that, you can see he's actually quite thin this way. Whereas Katara actually has the hair kind of balanced at the back, but then the effect part is kind of more at the front, so it helps with the balance as well. And then her feet are also kind of apart by like a step, which is kind of good. So yeah, pretty happy with these two. And again, they're small, so you can just like have a decent collection of chibi characters that doesn't take up too much space. So I think there's some value if you can get these, like especially if you're in America and have access to Five Below, and potentially they are a little bit cheaper there than anyone else can get them for. If you can find them, it seems like, yeah, go for it. Again, I'd be a little bit hesitant until I see them confirm like a wave 2, just to go all in on it. But you know, they're the ones that are out so far. Wave 1, quite good. So there is Katara and Sokka together. Pretty pleased with them for sure. And you also get the cards. We'll move on to the Funkos. Actually, while I'm here, because I got the last Korra pop that I had to get was the Asami. Came in the order with the 2 Cheebee figures, and also with them I did pick up this, which is the pop-up parade Asuna. So main reason I got this is, one, I like SAO, and I had been looking for a good Aincrad Arc Asuna figure, and I thought, why not? Like, I'm actually interested in Pop-Up Parade because Korra is going to get a figure in the Pop-Up Parade line. Why not get this one and see what the quality is like? And yeah, pretty impressed with this. I think it is relatively in line with other sort of Japanese figures around this price point. But it's really nicely detailed. Obviously, you can see here it comes with a base as well. And again, Asuna has quite a complicated hairstyle as well, kind of like Katara. And it's nicely done here as well. So I'm super excited to see them properly reveal the Korra, knowing that it's a pretty quality line. So just wanted to quickly comment on that I like the Pop-Up Parade figure that I do have. Now, into the Korra Funko Pops. Like I said, the last one to arrive to me was the common Asami. The 2 that I got just before that were, of course, the Amon and Mako. And then I don't have the normal Korra. Instead, I have the special edition glow in the dark special version of the common Korra. So like I was saying earlier on about being sort of like mold complete, this is that Korra, it's just the metallic version. So I believe this is actually my first metallic pop as well. So I'm interested to see how exactly this all works, because I hadn't seen much about this one, because this was announced like what, end of last year, just randomly out of nowhere, and we thought maybe this would lead to wave 2 of the Korra Funko Pops coming in, but we haven't really heard any rumors about that yet. So hopefully this existing does lead to more, because everyone wants to see them finally do a Bo Lin and getting around to like Tenzin Lin and the likes of the other characters. It's a pretty small opening wave here, where it is just these 4 plus the exclusive book 2 Korra. So, you know, there's definitely a demand for more. It's frustrating to see not a lot of Korra Funko Pops out here. So I guess we will we'll save the special one until the end, and I guess we'll start with the villain here, Amon, and see what he's like. Okay, so here he is. Mask obviously is the main thing. Really, really nicely done. And especially because Funkos, a lot of times the faces are the most plain thing, unless they're wearing a mask or a helmet or something like that. So this definitely helps with Amon. They didn't try to do any sort of a thing to sort of do a little bit of like Noah talk underneath, or get across like, oh, he's burned underneath, he's wearing the makeup, which I think is fine, just going for the standard, you know, before the mystery is revealed. Otherwise, you know, his design is relatively straightforward and to the point. But again, the little details of like the lining around his boots, his kind of bracers, gauntlets, pretty nice. The standard kind of pose that he tends to do, the head does rotate like on most Funko Pops. But for the most part, it's meant to be something like head-on or just a little bit with the hand more angled out. And he does stand perfectly fine. He doesn't need a stand and does not come with a peg to use one with either. So again, not too much to say here. They did what they needed to do. The mask done right, and that's exactly what you would want. So Amon, very, very nice. We'll do Asami next. Okay, so Asami does come with a stand, so we'll put her on that in just a second. But let's overall take a look here. So I've got the hair clip here, and overall the kind of standard wavy hair with the little bit out here. Nicely done. A little bit of a eyeshadow here to match that look that Asami goes for. And in her outfit, you can see has a lot of the nice details on it there. Again, it's actually similar to Amon, you know, the kind of maroony brown kind of outfit kind of type thing. And then the main thing, of course, is the shock glove here, equal shock glove here. Again, nicely detailed and painted. There's a bit of green on it as well. So yeah, pretty good job here. In that, like, Asami without the glove is a little bit of a plain Funko Pop, but they did a good job here. You know, maybe there was an option to do this with some sort of a electricity crackle type effect going on, just to make it a little bit more dynamic. But overall, I think it's exactly what you would want out of a Asami Funko Pop. So yeah, peg goes in here with the stand. Does she actually stand on her own? Yeah, the feet are a little bit too close together that she tips back this way. So yeah, you do need the stand for Asami. So yeah, we just need to put her like this. So yeah, Asami does eventually stand. So we'll just put her here. Next, we have Mako. So weird that they did Mako and not Bolin in this wave. Really, really confusing. Okay, here is Mako. So the hair, nice, pointy, and they actually have like the bits on the back. It makes it like kind of quite square from above, which is kind of interesting. There's definitely some kind of angles that you don't expect to see here. But yeah, the kind of a little bit of a point on the eyebrows is actually quite notable as well for Mako. Otherwise, you know, they've got the scarf, the important scarf, of course, and the little fire in his hand is nice, clear, orange plastic. And otherwise, yeah, Mako's design otherwise is quite standard and to the point. The head does rotate if you need to. And does Mako stand on his own? Ooh, a little bit forward, a little bit back heavy here. So can we adjust here? Not quite. So yeah, I don't know if Mako will actually stand on his own. Yeah, I don't think he will stand on his own, unless you maybe like adjust the feet or something like that. Yeah, it's just a little bit on the edge there, so unfortunately my Mako will need to be up against a wall, I suppose, to do properly. Again, it's weird that like, and it was the same way with like a lot of the ATLA Funko Pops, where a few of them that did need a stand didn't have one. And then other characters who, you know, didn't really need one had one, and you know, again, it's not like Mako has the peg, the hole in the foot to even do it. So interesting. But yeah, now we move on to Korra, and then I'll tell the story about what happened with my order of the 4 commons and why it's so heavily delayed. So yeah, the main gist of that story is that I ended up having to change that order from the 4 standard Funkos to just this one exclusive one. So that's why I actually have this and why it's in like a pop protector here. But yeah, we're just going to open this up. So okay, so here is the exclusive metallic glow-in-the-dark Korra out of the box. So Straight away, pretty cool. I actually like the effect of the metallic. You can sort of see that going on here. I think, is that a paint chip right in the middle of her chest there? I think it is, because yeah, her kind of collar only goes down like a little bit, so that's a little unfortunate straight away. Kind of very visible kind of paint chip or whatever. Otherwise, you know, again, the detailing like on her arm there is actually quite good. Even you can't really see much of it here, but they've even done the sort of brown in a metallic as well. So really, you know, a lot of effort kind of put in here. Even the kind of earth effect underneath her has a bit of a kind of brown, bronzy sort of tinge to it. So that's kind of nice. And then you can see here they've gone more for like I suppose frosted kind of plastic here for the water and fire. I've never seen this pop in person, and I forget from pictures if this is just accurate in the way it's done, or if the normal Korra does it with the sort of clear plastic rather than this one, because this might be changed because it's glow in the dark. Because I'm guessing the glow is going to be the fire and water effects more than anything. Of course, the head is locked in place here just because of the way the effect is done. But like the Aang, I like that the main Korra Funko Pop is quite a you know, spectacular one with a lot going on. So overall, pretty nice. Little unfortunate about that little paint chip, but it's not too bad, obviously. Does it make me want to go out and get lots of other metallic Funkos? Not necessarily, but you know, it's cool to have the effect in the same way that, like, if you've ever got like a flocked Funko, it is actually quite nice. That's quite good. So there's a fun factor to some of the special edition type ones. So I guess we'll just try and test this glow in the dark thing if possible. Okay, so you can see I'm shining my phone's torch light on it, and it seems like the glow is actually reasonably good. I've been shining this for quite a while, but my initial thing is that it seems like the blue is quite good and holds the glow relatively well. The orange is a little bit more subtle, but when you do see it, it's actually quite interesting the way it works. So let's see if this works at all. So you can see there, blue, really, really vivid. Like I can see it on the camera here. It actually shows up super well. So that's from the look sort of from behind. And you can see that's super glow in the dark. Now, there is, I don't know if the camera's picking this up that well, because in person there's definitely a faint glow from the fire. I don't know if you can quite see it, but there's like a little trail of almost like yellow just along the bottom here, along the inside kind of there. And similarly along here there's like just a trail of yellow kind of underneath. You can, again, I don't have a black light to show this off super effectively, but you can sort of get a sense for, like, you see, like this little bit here is sort of actually glowing quite relatively well, but obviously it's nowhere near as good as the whole water effect part is actually quite well done. So let's open the blind again here and get into, I suppose, a little bit of story time here. Okay, so let's get into the story about why it's taken this long for me to actually review the 4 common Funko Pops that I theoretically should have had like a year and a half ago or something like that, because basically it's an order I placed like 2 years ago. So what happened was I ordered separately this, and then a separate order for the 4 commons from the same online store. The second pre-orders went live because the Korra Pops were announced at like a toy fair, I think, so the pre-orders went up sort of straight away. So like I said, 2 separate orders, the exclusive was separate. And I knew, like, obviously it's a very early pre-order, I'm going to be waiting a bunch of months for them to even come out in the first place, but that's fine. I'm pretty patient. I had to wait a while for like a Dark Magician Funko Pop I ordered from them previously, but I did get it. So I wait probably like, I think in around like 4 to 6 months before I kind of like email them for the first time about like, hey, what's happening with the order? And they say they're just, still waiting for them to come in. That's fine. The thing that happens in the middle of this is that like the wait goes on long enough that Brexit happens in the UK. So for me to order from this website, which is in the UK, of course, I'm in Ireland, I had to use a kind of shipping forwarding kind of service. And because of Brexit, the one that I was using actually stopped the to Europe service because it didn't want to have to deal with customs stuff. So that was kind of like, oh, okay, that's a bit of a problem. So straight away, the second this happened, the second I find out the address that I'm currently using is not going to work anymore, I immediately have it changed to a different address forwarding thing, but this time it's actually like an official one through the Irish Postal Service. So, same style of thing. All I need is just the address changed. And so I emailed them about both orders, get them changed. That happens. I can confirm on my account. It says both orders now have the correct address, and I go back into waiting. Eventually, the exclusive ships. So I was expecting both of them to ship around the same time, but actually only the exclusive ships out, and I have like a tracking link. And I begin to notice towards the end of like the tracking as it's making its way through the progress that I don't think this is going to the right location in the UK. And then when I check again, it's like, okay, like delivery was attempted, returned to sender, and I realize, oh, why were they trying to send it to the old address that was changed? So immediately I emailed them and I'm kind of like, I think this is before they even get it back. So the second it says it's delivered to a place that, isn't the correct one, I email them and say, hey, you sent this to the old address even though I had it changed. When this arrives back, can you send it to the correct address? And at the same time, I also said that I also have another order with you that I placed at the same time that I also had the address changed on. Can you doubly confirm that the address has been changed on that one too? And they say yes. They eventually get this one, it gets sent to me, no problem. So one mistake, but I do eventually get this exclusive one. That's fine. And apparently the 4 commons now have the correct address for absolute sure. What proceeds to happen then is that the time begins to go on. These pops have released. I actually have a bunch of different opportunities to get them, but I stick to this order because it's an order. I got them for a good price. Why wouldn't I stick to it? Just because I have to wait a little bit longer. And basically what happens is that they say, one time when I emailed them, we have 2 out of the 4 in stock. Would you like us to send them to you, and then we'll send the other 2 when they arrive in? And I'm kind of like, I guess okay. I'll end up having to pay a little bit more because I'm using the shipping forwarding service, but fine. I just want to get them. I forget which exact 2 it was, but that's the thing. So I just say yes, and then I'm waiting in terms of like, well, you have these 2 in stock. Have you shipped them yet? Because I don't get any communication about this. They don't respond to my email saying, yes, I would like to go ahead with this. And they don't send me like a separate email to say they've shipped. So I wait like a month or 2. And then I email them and I'm kind of like, what's going on with this? I thought you said you'd ship 2 of them out. And they say, we did ship 2 of them out. We emailed you about it and they were returned. And I was kind of like, what? So I tell them that, 1, I didn't get any communication about these 2 having shipped. And 2, I'm guessing what has happened because I don't have any information about where you sent it. But I'm guessing you sent it to this address instead of this address, even though twice it should have been changed. And they're like, yes, that's exactly what has happened. And so I'm like, can you ship them back to the right address? And they're like, no, you took so long to like respond that we sold them already. And I'm like, what? Because again, I think like if they were returned to sender, they would also contact me about that, but they didn't, I had to contact them. So I'm kind of like, okay, I'll just wait for more to come back into stock. And I'm left waiting again. And keep in mind, each time between communicating with them, I'm typically waiting like a month or 2 months. So I'm not just emailing them every day, every week. I'm giving them like a reasonable amount of time each time. And so this is turning into like a couple of months past release to being like a year after release. And then what happened like a month or two ago when I finally got, this, was that I emailed them and I'm like, hey, I haven't heard anything about this. What's happened? They respond and say, we shipped 2 other ones out to you, but they were returned to us. What's going on? And they were basically like, okay, at this point, we are just going to cancel this order and refund you the price of the items, but not the shipping because they had to ship it out. And I'm kind of like, no. No. You don't get to do this. Because I say again, one, you again never communicated to me that you shipped a separate 2 out again. And 2, you have sent these to the old address that should have been changed 3 times now at this point. And they're like, yes, that's what happened. Okay, we will refund your shipping as well. And I'm like, but the card that I used to purchase this, like again, this was so long ago, has like expired. So what happens here? And so I basically had to get like a store, a store credit refund. So basically like a gift voucher for the place. And at this point I was just kind of like so done with this that I was not going to have it wait any longer and have all these pops that I could have theoretically got just be completely unavailable. So I just have to accept the full store credit refund. Now, thankfully, this is where this comes in. They did have this in stock because I was not going to pre-order something with them again after what happened. So I pretty much had to use the full price of like the 4 commons just on this one exclusive here. And then I had to source the other ones elsewhere. So, just probably the worst customer service experience I've ever had with a place in terms of just the amount of things that go wrong. Of course, I've had times when I've ordered a thing from a place and then they reveal, oh, sorry, we don't actually have this in stock. But that's relatively okay because it's like I placed an order and then they immediately say we actually don't have it in stock. And there's an immediate disappointment, but it's fine. Versus this 1.5 year long situation where I feel like I'm giving them all the time in the world. I feel like I'm doing everything I can to give them the correct information and double down on the address is correct. Yes. And they're telling me it is. And I got this. So they know what the correct address is because I actually did get this from them. But they proceeded to, mess it up multiple times after that. And, the whole time it never felt like it was particularly apologetic about the situation. And if I didn't get a little bit forceful with them at the end of no, this is not what's happening here. I feel like I would have been down money on this, even though it was all on them. Because I got the address changed well in advance of any of them actually coming into stock. So I don't know what happened here, but I don't think I'll be ordering from that place anymore. And in general, it just feels like Funko Pops, I still think are probably one of the trickiest things, at least for me, to get without lots of issues from places. Because I don't know what the most efficient way is to get it. Because these exclusives that are actually exclusive to other stores, if you don't order direct, how long are actually going to be waiting? So it's kind of awkward overall. But I eventually have these, of course. But, if I'd waited any longer, potentially, I would have to pay well over the odds for these 3. And part of the reason it's been so long is that I have waited to make sure that I get Mako, Amon, and Asami for retail price. I didn't want to pay more than that for them. And so thankfully, I was able to get them for that price. So I ended up not spending too much more than I'd maybe initially planned to. Obviously, not planning to get this exclusive one. You know, I had to basically pay the bonus on this, but you know, it is what it is. So there's what happened with this. So in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on everything that I covered in this video. But that has been it. Thanks for watching, and bye.